Hey, Motorman here, and boy, I got some breaking news for you. If you haven't heard, Polaris has sold Indian motorcycles to a private equity firm called Carolwood LP. I guess because the past couple of years, the heavyweight motorcycle market has really taken a downturn. In fact, all motorcycle manufacturers' sales are way down. There's a lot of reasons for that. High interest rates, so many reasons, can't go into all of it, but when I heard Polaris was going to drop Victory and they bought the Indian motorcycles, and when they dropped Victory, they didn't tell anybody. If you bought a brand new Victory motorcycle on Saturdays, paid $20-something thousand, then Monday you found out that they're out of business, production has stopped, your bike lost about half its value. And the dealers didn't know about it either. Anyway, they've sold the company to this Carolwood LP. That's the good news, though, is the guy they got to run it. His name is Mike Kennedy. He's a 30-year motorcycle industry veteran. He used to head Vance and Hines and I think a couple other companies, but he spent 26 years with Harley Davidson. So I think they picked a good guy. And to know why this happens and what the motorcycle industry has been doing for many years, you got to know the history of motorcycle sales in America, and I've followed it since about 1974 when I bought my first motorcycle. So what had happened is between 1987 and so 1987 till about 2008, Harley Davidsons were selling every motorcycle they could build. In fact, the supply did not meet demand at all, and dealers were getting thousands of dollars over MSRP for every Harley Davidson. They were going out and telling people, if you bought a motorcycle last year, come on in, trade that bike in, we'll give you exactly what you paid for it. Financing these bikes, even if you had bad credit, they would finance with nothing down and $2,000 over MSRP. I mean, it was crazy. It was like printing money. So many other manufacturers saw this and they said, hey, we should build our own copy of the Harley Davidson, which is what Yamaha, Honda, Suzuki, and Kawasaki did. And they were selling them for a lot less than Harley Davidson was, and they weren't getting a premium. So the people who wouldn't spend $15,000 or $20,000 on a motorcycle, they still wanted that classic American style. So they went to the Japanese manufacturers, and for quite a few years, they were selling the hell out of every American-style motorcycle that the Japanese could make. Of course, since they were almost some of them even half price, and they were a good motorcycle, reliable, they didn't have much character, and you'd have things like plastic fenders and side covers. They weren't the quality of a Harley Davidson. You might not notice that if you never rode a Harley Davidson motorcycle. You might even not notice or know what the difference was. But I remember, I think in 1998, I bought a Honda Aero because I wasn't going to pay $5,000 over list for a Harley Davidson. But I liked the style, so I bought this Honda Aero 1100cc, had wide white wall spoke wheels. It was a great riding motorcycle. And then I rode a friend's 98 Heritage, and I said, this is sort of like night and day. The Harley felt like what a motorcycle should feel like. But while this is going on, there's other companies springing up. Somebody buys the Indian name, and I think it was California Indian Motorcycles, they called it. So they copied the Indian style, and they put an S&S motor in it, and the production quality or lack thereof was pretty bad. I remember trying to road test one for a magazine I was working for at the time, and it was, I think they called them Gilroy Indians. And I'm trying to pull out of the dealership, and the carburetor backfires, and the bike starts on fire. The dealer comes running out, they put the fire out, they give me another motorcycle. The same thing happens with that one. I said, never mind, I don't think I want to ride your bike. But then the Indian again was sold, and I think in 2011, Polaris buys the Indian name. Now, they've been making Victories from 1998 all the way up into 2017. Initially, the first Victory motorcycles, they weren't that good. I didn't like the styling of them. They were, I don't know, they just felt like an old motorcycle. But as time went on, they got better and better. In fact, in 2010, I used them in one of my videos, and I said, man, this is a really good motorcycle. I think even better than what Harley was putting out at the time. And they were a couple of $1,000s less than the Harley Davidson. And they weren't getting anything over MSRP. So it was working out good for them for a while. And then as 2008 rolled around and we had the recession. Motorcycle sales took a slump. They said, well, we got the Indian name, we're going to start making Indian motorcycles. And at the time, Indian was owned by another company out of, I think they were building them in South Carolina. And they were making a pretty good motorcycle. I had never ridden one, but I read some reports on them, and all the road testers said, yeah, it's a great motorcycle. It's not fast or anything, but nice quality. But they were like $35,000 or $40,000, so they weren't selling very well. That's a very tiny market. And eventually, then Polaris buys them. They shut down Victory, which had to piss off Victory buyers, especially if you bought a new Victory on Saturday, and then you find out you spent over 20 grand, and then come Monday you find out that they shut, no production, it's over. They're going to build parts for 10 years, but no more Victory motorcycles. And I always thought and predicted way back then when Polaris bought the Indian, I said, I bet if sales go down a little bit, they're going to do the same thing. Because they make this side-by-sides and all kinds of other stuff. I think motorcycle sales are just 7% of the Polaris industry. So they really don't need it. And that's what had happened. I guess they figured that the good days are going to continue forever, and they didn't. Once that first recession hit, supply caught up with demand for Harley-Davidson. They couldn't charge thousands over MSRP. Yamaha, or Kawasaki, and they, for the most part, stopped making. They used to make all kinds of different Harley copies, I call them. They stopped that. They make maybe one or two heavyweight type motorcycles now, but nothing like what they used to. So with Indian, past couple of years, especially the sales of expensive motorcycles has gone way down, and Polaris says, well, we don't need that. We'll sell out to this company. It might be a good thing. I don't know. The guy who's running the company sounds like he's got plenty of experience, worked for Vance and Hines and worked for Harley-Davidson for 26 years. So it may be a good thing. And in fact, this may even happen with Harley-Davidson. If sales continue to go down and nothing picks up, and whatever new models they come out with doesn't help sales, I could see them selling out and somebody else buying them. Who that'll be, I have no idea. There'll always be a Harley-Davidson motorcycle. Indian, will there always be an Indian motorcycle? Yeah, I'm not too sure. That name has been sold so many times, it's not even funny. Harley-Davidson has been Harley-Davidson since, what, 1903. And yes, I know that the Indian came out before Harley-Davidson in 1901 or something like that, but let's face it, the original company went out of business in 1953, and the name has just been sold over and over and over again from that point in 1953 till present day. So we'll see what happens. That's the news of the day. Will this happen to Harley-Davidson as well? It's a possibility, but remember, Harley-Davidson only makes motorcycles. They don't have anything else to depend upon, whereas Polaris, they really couldn't care less about that little 7% of their production, or the amount of money that they make on their products. Their motorcycle division is just tiny. They don't care, so they sold out to this equity company, Carolwood LP. Like I said, it may be a good thing for them. Maybe they'll continue to make very good motorcycles, because Indian does make a great motorcycle right now. Some people like them better than Harleys. I happen to like the Harley styling a little better, so that's why I stuck with Harley-Davidson. Plus, I didn't want to buy an Indian and then have them suddenly close the doors. So in this case, at least they didn't close the doors. They just sold the company out to somebody else. That's it for now. Please subscribe, and don't forget to comment below. Yes, I know that all the experts are in the comment section. I love to read. It always gives me a lot of laughs when I read the stuff that people say in the comment section. And also, I want you to remember, coming this Sunday, that's October 19th, you can come to the Ride Like a Pro class. We've got several openings still. It's only $150 to sign up. Go to ridelikeapro.com and click on Classes with Motorman. I will change your riding life in a very short amount of time. You'll enjoy riding so much more when you actually know what the hell you're doing. That's it for now. Please subscribe, give me a thumbs up, and comment below.